Hello and welcome back to Mirror Interpretation to Durova. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ivana and I am an interpreter. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Today I am going to create a video about what you need to know in order to take the NBCMI certification. I'm going to talk about the English part, which I did take. I'm just looking to try to find a way to also read your I want to read your comments on YouTube. So I'm just thinking, shall I start in the beginning with the comments and then go with the topic? Or shall I start with the topic and read the comments after? But let me open the comments studio and then comments. So I'm gonna address all your comments, guys. Today, as you know, I do this once a month. Haven't responded. All right. Okay, guys. So let's start with our topic. I've been publishing less lately because I have been really busy. I have having situationships at work, as you know, if you're my members, and I have been studying for this test. I would be honest with you. I haven't studied so much. I don't think you can learn a language overnight. I don't normally study for my language tests. I do repass the best protocols and best practices usually, and this is what I do when I just want to fix my computer. I don't know. I think this is better. What do you guys think? So I've been kind of busy. This is the truth, this is the matter of the fact. And here I have prepared this folder, or what I did study without paying any money to anyone, without buying any expenses classes. Hi, whoever is here. I just studied these materials that I'm going to show you over here, and I will tell you what I study. And I believe this is only the minimum, and the reason why is because all of those national certifications have this, questions are surprise. Questions that you can't, or you know them by chance, or you can't know everything. This is my point. You can't know everything. And because you don't know what part of terminology you're gonna get on those tests, my personal strategy to getting ready for this exam was to study the things that I'm sure that will be in the exam and know them 100%, understand them 100%. That's why I didn't study so much. I tried to understand the application of those rules. Once again, of course, every time this is once again. And once I did understand this, or I think I understood it, I study 1 week. And no, I don't think that you can guess what type of medical terminology will be on the test. And this is why I decided just to do it, And now I have to do the second part. So I have printed over here, and I printed for myself, but I want to show it to you. I really like how NBCMI organized their materials and how they let you know what is going to be in the exam. So 8% role of conduct, role of clarifier, role of cultural blocker, role of a patient advocate. They said is 80%, 15% medical interpreter ethics, 8% cultural competence, 38% medical terminology, which I didn't feel, 23% medical specialists in working linguistics. I will tell you, there was some questions in this topic that are really, in 15 years, I never ever had to interpret in this topic, and I never been encountering this type of questions. So it was kind of surprising for me. Some of those words I didn't even know. I didn't even understand the question, to be honest with you. And I have 3 masters. I can't imagine a person who have a high school is trying to get those tests. Not only, but I study all this terminology in 5 languages. So it's really hard, the test. Then you have Interpreter Standards of Practice, IMIA, International Medical Interpreter Association, National Council of Interpreting in Healthcare, California Healthcare Interpreting Association, and legislation and regulations, health insurance, blah, 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 HIPAA, okay, HIPAA, and Class Cultural Act. This is what they say the test will include. So, as I said, my strategy was to start with the things that I know that they will be in the test. And here I have the first part. Oh, this is hard because there is so much materials in this one, but I'm just going to show you one by one what I studied. So I did study these standards of practice. It's called International Medical Interpreters Associations. They have the rules and they have the standards of practice. And then there's this part that I will address you and advise you to study very carefully. It's a different scenarios that says more mastery and less mastery. It's just like a guideline how to deal in different situations. And then in the end, I have the class cultural competency and humanity. Although I believe that the cultural competency is a little bit disregarded in the test, not so much. I gotta tell you, I don't think that they put a lot of effort on those type of questions. I believe there was one question. So this was the first standards. The next thing that I did, as you know, guys, I have a BTG. Here, I can show you. When I was getting ready to take my Breaching the Gap test, I was taking a notes from the training that cost $600, and this is my notes. And the BTG was very useful to learn how to work as an interpreter. And then they have 9 body systems, which was very, very, I would not say not detailed. It was just overall medical terminology, the most important terminology in 9 body systems. I think it was very useful. I don't regret spending this $600. That was useful. The only thing I wish, I remember when they were doing the trainings, they were doing the scenarios. And I was not very attentive to those because I was thinking it doesn't really matter who is going to test you on scenarios. And I understand that they do that. So this is something that I would address you to read as much as you can. Next thing I prepared is this part. And once again, I address you. You can download those materials online from the official website. If you Google those, they're online, they're for free. You can print them out for yourself. California standards for healthcare interpreters. Not only, but I was doing a training for a girl, which I was very grateful to do. I provide one-on-one trainings. She didn't pass the test and she wanted help. But when I was training her, I realized that I know those things on memory. I know those things. So, I mean, like, I put an effort. I did study those. And when I say that, I mean it. I don't say, oh, read it one time. You have to understand, and very particularly, let's see, I open the page 42 of California standards, advocacy. So when we're in the role of the conduct is normal, it's easy, it's classical, but normally on those tests, what's make them challenging is that they give you those scenarios, different type of scenarios that that are controversial, very controversial, and you have to choose, no? For example, I think one of those questions was, and I think in the CCHI and NBCMI, they have very similar type of questions. If you know and you understand that the lab doesn't understand what the doctor says, do you ask for clarification? If you know that something is culturally inappropriate, do you do that, or you just stay? So being in a role of the conduct is beautiful, but being a really professional interpreter consists in clarifying and how to say, addressing those things, addressing those situations when there is lack of clarity, lack of clear communication, lack of understanding, when there is conflict of interest. This is when you as an interpreter have to get out of the role of the conduct. And a lot of people, I think, on paper feel way too passive to do this. The reason why is that the advocacy is a very controversial thing to do, and there is a rules for that. You gotta read them quite well, and one of the rules is to have there must be some danger, or you must be acting in a way that you want to, when the health, the well-being, or the dignity of the patient is in danger. If there is a child abuse, because of that, I always address to read very well HIPAA. I have a special training on HIPAA somewhere here. I don't remember where is that, but knowing when it's okay and legally excusable to intervene in a session, and also having in mind in those tests, you're going to be punished if it was ethically expected for you to intervene, which means that if in this case, there is again scenarios here, guys, and I want to show you page 57. Let me show you. This is the California standard. They all have these scenarios that I advise you to read and try to understand very well, because this type of test is not something that you can memorize. This is what makes it hard. You have to understand it. Actions, what actions and what risks. All these appendixes, they don't give you clear like what is the reason, but they give you benefits here. Some of them benefits and risk. I just opened this one, what you should do. And I advise you to read those in detail and try to understand why it's ethical during the session. For example, there is questions, they always ask those questions in different shape. Let's say you're interpreting and the doctor step out and the patient asks you, oh, I don't know if I shall do surgery, for example. There is different similar scenarios to this one, or ask you for any type of advice, what to do. Do you think this doctor is good? Do you think I shall do this medical procedure? There is questions like that they ask you. And this actually happen in real life. They do ask you for that. I think it's rare, but I think in Latino culture it's more normal to kind of gossip about that. And in all those states, they ask you, what shall you do? The number one answer is interpret back to the doctor. Because from the moment that you state your pre-session, you interpret back. The only type and times that you, let's say, break this conduct from the pre-session introduction, I will interpret everything you say and keep it confidential. You should interpret everything, and please, if you don't want me to interpret something, don't say it. This is the rule. The moment that you had set the pre-session and you're already being there with the doctor, you have to interpret. So follow those rules to answer the question. The number two similar answer question is, oh, you heard somebody is suicidal, or there is a child abuse, or there is neglect of an elderly or abuse of an elderly or something like that, and you hear this conversation in the elevator. So the only time that you're excusable to report information outside of your session like that relating this same patient is when somebody's life is in danger, when there is a child abuse and there is a neglect, and there is a special part of the law that is different for each state, which I would advise you to read carefully, because you would need to know in your state what type of things you have to report. Then I have here another standards of practice, this one's. It's called American Interpreting Practice, Standards of Practice, this one's. NCIHC. That's American Interpreting Standard of Practice. I cannot tell you where I got this from, but they have scenarios in the end. I got them online for sure. So this practice is developed by International Medical Interpreter Association. Once again, I advise you to read those and to clear, memorize, and learn them very, very well. And now we are coming to the next chapter. This all is announced in their book. The National Standards of Practice for Interpreters. This one. So this is from NCH National. This is the National Standard of Practice for Interpreters in Healthcare. And yes, they all have a very detailed explanation. They are very similar, I will tell you. They are very, very similar. They have all the details, the positioning, and all of that. I am telling you, the standards are very similar, but they have additions to one another. That's why I also, this one is part of it. They're about, I don't know how many, 100, 200 pages. And then I have a side translation and written translation in healthcare interpreting. This whole thing, I'm going to take this out because now I'm going to start to be ready for my oral exam. So I would need to check those out. I'm studying for my oral exam. I don't know exactly. I said to myself within a few weeks I'm gonna do this, and I've been planning to do this within a few weeks, guys. But said that, why I say this is the minimum. The reason, yes, I do have a lot of trainings in medical interpreting, in COVID. I cannot tell you, I have so much of those trainings. But I feel like those type of tests, NBCMI, National Board for, or National Certification for Medical Interpreter, it's so hard because the questions are not straightforward. They are very misleading. So some of those, I will tell you, I don't know what was about. What are you guys talking about? I didn't understand the questions. And no matter how much you know, I believe that if you do those tests, you can understand that it's okay. Some questions you're not going to understand. The reason why I say that you should know this all material that I just shared with you, this book, you should know it as for breakfast. Why? Because they have 50 questions. And the passing score is, I believe, it's 75 in the English part. but the percentage of the wrong questions that you can do is very few compared to CCHI, when it's, oh, they have so much question, 130 something, and the time is longer. And to be honest with you, yes, also on the CCHI testing, there was this part of the test that I did. I don't even understand what this means, to be honest with you. I just remember I went there, I said, let me give it a try. And it was like 2017, I did the CCHI. So it's long ago. Now I feel like my score would be better. Once again, I would say I did not study. I did study a little bit, but the things that I study, no, nothing of this was in the test. The test was kind of surprising for me once again. And also they use the computer rotation. So you're not gonna happen. I am 100% sure that if you do the test several times, you're not gonna have the same questions over and over. This shouldn't happen. So this is why those certifications actually have value. They have a value because it's so hard to pass it. I said this is the basic because out of this medical terminology, somewhere there I have the book for 9 body system, but I will tell you, I personally study 9 body system out of the Bridging the Gap. I study it for myself in different languages to be ready, especially when I started to do medical, maybe in 2016, like 6-7 years ago, because I used to do only business to business. So when I was doing this in 2016, I was a little bit freaking out, and I thought I should put the effort to know more about the body system, and I thought it was interesting. Although I studied so much for body system, for example, there was a question about bilirubin, there was a question about AKT, and I think it's called acetocytosis or something like that, and what kind of treatment is that? If it's the treatment with people that have cancer or renal insufficiency. It was strictly question for a doctor. I personally didn't know what those questions means, and there were several of those questions that I didn't know what they mean. So I went and I answered the questions that I knew for sure. And the one that I didn't know, I went back to it and I read it and read it. And second time, yes, I didn't use the whole time, I gotta tell you, because if you know the questions, you know how to do it. So the second, there would be those questions that you don't even know, you have never heard of it, some of those terms. And I was thinking that I was good in medical terminology once I try. And yes, I did pass the test. I passed with approximately 80%. But this test is hard, guys. If you think that you just gonna go and try it, I would tell you it's this. Just you don't lose your money on that, because the test, it's serious, it's difficult, and there is a lot of, when we're talking about the medical terminology, for example, the way they ask for the procedures, it's very strange. What kind of a part, because you can see with MRI, you could see different parts. With the scan, what kind of tissue you can see with those questions. It was very, very odd the way it was structured. As I say, I did this test last week on Saturday, so, and I also did it online. Very, let's say it was very confusing. It was very confusing. I am happy I did pass it though, because, but why I said to know the practices, because this is the things that you would, 51 questions. So I think in order to pass, I think you have gap of 7 or 8 questions to make mistake. So let's say 50 questions, so you have to answer 40 something to pass. So you have a very little gap to make mistake compared to CCHI. I believe CCHI is more easy, although they are more ignoring you, not responding you. I feel like the process of CCHI is way more redundant and disrespectful toward you than compared to NBCMI. The thing about, but I want to talk about NBCMI right now. They have this platform, ProctorU, through which you get tested through home. They make a big picture of your ID, and you gotta show picture of your screen, picture of the floor, of the walls, of everywhere around you. You gotta show them before you start the test. I don't even know how these people think that you can cheat on a test like that, because the truth is that you don't have the time to do so. But the platform is not working well. It took them about 1 hour and a half to set it up. Then they wanted me to reschedule, and they wanted me to pay for the rescheduling. I was like, hell no, I don't want to reschedule. Just I want to do the test. You should be able to make it. So they transferred me like 5 times to different proctors. It was not fun. It was a bad moment. Uh, and once they logged me in, that was it. I just did it, and I passed it. Yay! But said that, that was my minimum to know about NBCMI. Of course, 9-body system. The questions are so twisted. I think that I think this test is settled for you to fail in a way, compared to CCHI, where the things are more clear and more logical. Here, if you don't really understand the subtlety, even the meaning of the question properly, you risk to give the wrong answer, because sometimes he say, what of those things are not part of best practices, and they include almost all of them that are rule, but one is slightly out of the rule. So it's kind of complicated, but this is my suggestion. Minimum to know to pass the written exam. It's very hard, once again, I repeat. And now, hi, whoever is here, I'm gonna check you guys. Let me say hello in the chat box. I'm gonna check your comments. Let's see. I just want to check the members first, because I think that on the members I left a note there, and I want to see if somebody of you guys ask any questions on the members. I like to address them. No questions. All right. Okay, let's go back to the comments now. I haven't printed them, and the reason why is because I'm lazy. It's Saturday. I'm gonna just read and see. Okay. And see what is going on with you guys. Will you guys tell me what is your feedbacks? What's information you're sharing with me? Bad Buddha 2 days ago. We're talking about court interpreter exam. Why I can pass it? Last time I had 79.9%. I've been trying it twice. The court interpreter, the first time I remember it was about 78. Now it's 79, like one question. I made mistake. But maybe I will attempt it again in September, October, something like that. So we're talking about court interpreting exam, and he's saying, you're completely right. The questions are something out of the world and really tough. I passed it in my second attempt, and I have a master's degree in linguistics. I know, honey, it's very hard. The worst part of the exam, synonymous, antonyms. Those are something that you never hear in the real world. This is why I said that this exam is set for you to fail it. My master's English exam was easier than this. I definitely agree with you, honey. I will give you a heart here. I got really lucky. Yes, I gotta tell you, I attempted twice, and I believe some of those version of the tests are really easy compared to other ones. This is my personal opinion. Uh, okay, 3 days ago, Cheikh Amando Bore. Thank you for the tips, bilingual. I am great. It was useful. Let me put him like, and thank you for being here. Loluberg. Loluberg. An interpreter who cannot pronounce CH combination. Aging lady. Yeah, sometimes I don't pronounce CH properly. It's okay. It's fine. Aching pain. I'm even not even sure right now. It's too early for me, and I'm trying not to take COVID. So I appreciate your comment, sir, and sorry that we disappointed you. I will just say thank you for being here. Yep, it happens sometimes. It's okay. Luima Edgarud. She talked about money and fears. Thank you for watching this movie, sweetie. I was thinking that nobody watched those. I'm surprised you like it. But this really exists. We're talking about people that have negative experience or unhealthy relationship with money. English Spanish bilingual. Jennifer Flores tell, thank you very much. That was useful. Please do more videos. Thank you, Jennifer. Will do. David Rivera, I know this person. He have been sending me several messages. Harvard don't speak Portugal, Brazilian, Ethiopian, African laws, or looks language colleagues laws. I don't understand what this person mean. Sorry. Let me read from the first. Okay, Spanish language, advanced California movies, documentaries of literature. David, sweetie, I am very grateful for your comment. Forgive my ignorance. I am not sure I understand what did you mean. Swiss, Switzerland, France, and other Spain and Puerto Rico, Brazil, Ethiopia, Africa, nations, languages, laws. That's in English books of laws in American colleagues. Once again, Mr. David, I will put you a like and say thank you for being here. But I don't understand. Is that statement? Is that information that you share? It's just a little bit confusing, but I would let you be. Harvard don't speak Portugal, Brazilian. I will just tell you, okay, sir, thank you for sharing. Because honestly, I don't understand what he mean. Maybe you do. Maybe some of you do, and I appreciate if somebody speak their mind and they're in their bubble, that's okay. Even though sometimes we don't completely understand others, it's okay to give them freedom to express themselves. Sandra Enriquez. Hola, Sandra. I have trouble pronouncing English medical words correctly. Idea on how to improve. How do you guys get the practice? I want to get my license too. Okay, so personally, Sandra, I know that I do have accents, and some people are like, oh, you have accent. Some people on my YouTube channel insult me about my accent, but I will tell you, I have never had this problem at work. But I notice some Spanish speaking, I'm just by your name, Sandra Enriquez, I'm guessing you're Latino, they are cutting the words. Per esempio, sistema cardiovascular, English, cardiovascular system, they melted up together. So my number one thing is to read these terms like the kids. I used to have this problem when I was a child because I was super shy and I was not able to speak until very older. I started speaking like expressing myself. It's always been a challenge for me, and being able to speak or say my thoughts is due to a lot of self work I did. I was not like that, and I did suffer personally with this. I suffer with having difficulty to talk because I was feeling fear of judgment. I would change colors. I had a lot of experience personal with myself to be able to speak my mind, to speak. And that's why I think it's so harmful for me when somebody interrupts me. But in general, not only the medical terminology, but just pronouncing some of the words is challenging. And a lot of those words, especially medicals, come from Latin. So, reading medical materials, I do have some books. Reading it loud and making a pause, trying to reading it slowly. I noticed that some interpreters on these group sessions, they would try to do it fast and they think this means that they're so, soy muy brava. I soy más rápida. Do it fast, it doesn't mean that you do it good and on the other side that they understand you. So in my opinion, you can make the pauses properly. I receive a lot of compliments at work because I make it clear and I pause. So pronouncing it more slowly, knowing, especially in Russian, knowing I have accent in Russian, I have it in English, I have it even in Bulgarian and Italian, I have accent, you know? It's okay to have accent. So number one thing, reading English words or English materials, reading it loud. And exercise that I do, and I think it could sound crazy, recording yourself and see how you sound. Did you sound rushed? Do you make hum, and different? Hi, Moheb. Thank you for the flower. I love flowers. Yay. So, having problems to express yourself, or if you like, if you stutter, if you stop a lot, if you're afraid of it, break it on syllables. For example, cardiovascular, cardiovascular. So when they teach the kids to read, if you go to logoped, they do this exercise, but you don't have to do this with logoped because it's expensive, but you can do it at home. Separate them on syllables and then do it together, and do it with very difficult and long medical terminology word. I don't know, like endoscopia, for example, endoscopy in English. There is some words that I still have challenge to pronounce, but getting it on syllaba and pronouncing it several times, it makes your tongue twist. This number one, reading loud. Number two, exercising on the words. And there is different apps online that you can play how the computer read the words and you can hear it. I personally use something, it's online English class. It's called ABBA English. And this is like an English school where they have a small movie, you see the movie, and then the same movie, they had subtitles, what they say, and you have to say it on the mic. And then you could hear the difference between you and the native speaker. This really helped you, me personally helped me. ABBA English cost $60 a year. and you can do it between Spanish and English, you two languages. So I did 5 year, I did exercise myself to speak there. I don't want to say 5 years, but until several years. And I was going to English school in Italy with Australian teacher. I was having native speaker, but I will tell you this ABA English for me personally was better than the school in person because I felt like I was able to improve. So you have to start to be able to express it without even worrying about it, knowing that you're gonna do. Thanks for such a awesome videos. Thank you, Mohab. Thank you for being here, honey. This is what I'm gonna advise you for the pronunciation. There are also different classes that you can buy online if you have money. I'm gonna, on the chat, guys, I will slowly answer your questions. So I'm gonna come back in a second. I want to finish to read. I think I want to finish to read those comments, and I will be right back at you. I have one left. Marian Molnar, I find your videos so helpful. I have my LLC yesterday. It was definitely harder than expected. Yes. And those questions are harder because I'm repeating that they are not built to make it easy for you. I hope it went well for her. And I think that's all of our hold for review. Let's see. These people are trying to place things, and Patiens faz buen immersion. They're trying to sell merchandise on my website. Let's delete those. All right, we have several people doing that. And I have responded to all your questions, guys. Okay, let's see. More have. Is there any sites or apps to practice multitasking missions? Okay, I have my personal opinion about multitasking, and I think that I'm very successful with what I have and have achieved in my life because because I use a rule. Let's say I use a rule about that, and I'm gonna share my rule with you about multitasking or having a lot of things to do, and how I organize this, how I organize my time to make it happen. I think like when I was young and I wasn't able to do something, I would be so frustrated with myself and I would be so upset. And yeah, I was very judgmental with myself if I didn't achieve the goal or I didn't do this thing or that thing. And as you know, or maybe you don't know, my father had a farm and there was always so much work that it could never end. There is work there until you die, basically. There is so much things to do. Farming, land, winery, all of those things, it's a lot of work. So I had to study and work while I was growing up because my parents, my father, of course, wanted me to stay ignorant and to stay in his farm and work for free. My mother didn't care at all. She was gone, living her life. She's still gone. So, I think one of the biggest realization that have to hit someone in order to start being successful and that you are alone. Mohab or Muhammad, whatever is your name, you are alone and there is going to be nobody that is going to come and save you and make it right and help you and give you a hand when you need. Unfortunately, 99% of the times you are going to have to deal with uncomfortable situations alone. Like me, I used to be homeless for some time, not having where to sleep, and I had to beg some strange people to give me to sleep in their couch, which have its consequences. So realizing that you're alone, uh, it's the number one thing that give you this mentally strong foundation that you have to rely on yourself, on your abilities. And when I say that, this means that when this thing hits you, that you have to think in the future. My phone is ringing. I'm gonna let it ring. Uh, I don't even know why my phone is ringing. It's Sunday. Sorry about that. So when this thing hits you, that you have to actually, sorry, when you realize that you are alone, and there is certain things that depends only on you and only you can solve, and there are questions in your life that and topics in your life that only you and nobody else can face, your personal problems, your personal issues, family problems, and all that. So when this thing hit me, this is when you realize that in order not to be overloaded with things, because you sound like a person that want to do a lot of things at once, this is when you realize that you have to manage your time, which means plan in the future. I am not a person that will plan every second of my life, but I have a lines of planning, knowing what I want and where I want to get, and knowing what steps I need to do in order to get there. So planning your time. In order to be able to plan your time, you have to know what type of things you need to do during the day. How much time you have to do certain things. Let's say that you have 1 week of a time and you have 10 things to do, plus work, no? I think planning the time, it starts with understanding what type of person I am. Personally, I like to do work in the morning. There is things that I like to sit and focus and do them in the morning. I don't want to talk to people in the morning. I don't want to interact. I don't want to be social. For me, mornings are very productive. So you have to understand your personality, if you're a morning or evening person. If you in the morning can't focus and can't be productive, or you're more productive in the evening. I know I'm more productive in the morning. This is me. So I focus my most important tasks in the morning. So I have a goal to achieve 80% of what I think I want to do and I have to do in the morning. Whatever does that mean? The most important things for me, in fact, is today I'm a little bit late because I have to get off this life and do something else. But I have several things that I want to do. Let's guess it. Writing it down, just had an hour and write down all the things that you want to do the next week. And then see which days you can have, or you want to have the time you want to do this thing. For example, this specific task, it's very important, it's number one, and that's why you're going to address it on Monday. But I used to do something else, because multitasking, the people think that this is another hook in here. Because of all this social media, you can do 25 things at one time. You can talk, you can chat, you can type, you can speak on the phone, you can drink, you can eat. No. If something is fundamental for your life and for your life changing, this is how I multitask. And I will tell you, I think I'm great at it because I speak so many languages and I have 3 master's degree and I'm independent. And I gotta tell you, based on compared to where I come from and my relatives, I am damn successful person. And the reason why is this. Let's say this task you're gonna do right now. Don't try to talk on the phone. Don't ping all this social media on the app distract your brain, get your focus away. I don't have Facebook on my phones, none of them. I have on one of them Instagram. It's my personal device. But I don't play with this when I have tasks to do. I do it one task at the time, fully focused. If this is something important to make your life better and to make your life to the next level, no boyfriend, no girlfriend, no mother, no father, nobody crying. This is it. You sit down and you dedicate 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever the time is necessary. Let's say you need to change your car tire. Otherwise, you cannot go anywhere. But you sit and you chat with your friend, with the girlfriend, boyfriend, mother, father, and it's already 12 o'clock, and you should have been to the dentist already at 12. It's like people think that you have to do many things at the same time in order to be successful. No, you have to do one thing at the time, but be completely focused. So if something is important for you, you have to be able to drop everything else, to pause it and face it, make it happen. And yes, the last few months, I feel like I changed something inside of me. I don't know exactly what is it, but I felt like I started to be more, a little bit more present on the now and what I want tomorrow. And I do want to buy a house, and I start doing those steps to get me to that next level, to get that language job that is going to give me this amount of money that will make it very easy for me to buy a house, or let's say not so hard. Let's call it like that. So what steps you need to do in order to get to where you want to be, to that job, to that position. But if you have to change the car tire, and instead of that you're playing with the cup and smoking and getting high, if people get high and they stop doing anything, multitasking is not about doing a lot of things at once. It's being able to, if you have 1 hour and you have 5 things to do, one at a time. Fill the document, print it, sign it, scan it, and send it. Done. Boom. Once you start achieving one by ones, maybe you make 25 completely different tasks in the same time, in the same day, and you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know this is possible. But it's not like you start to change the tire, then you drop the tools on the left, then you run, talk to your girlfriend, then smoke a cigarette, grab a coffee, then you got back, somebody stole your tire gears and your tire, and they try to steal your radio. You have to be focused. Yes, I am able to cook and translate at the same time, maybe clean the floor. I'm able to do few things at the same time, but the reason why is because I do it in the breaks, believe it or not. But when you interpret, there is breaks and there is pauses, which I'm able to fulfill, knowing how to do it, gaining an experience to do that. But I think I don't know what work you do, Mohab, but I feel like people that are bad at completing tasks, they are thinking that there is some secret behind that. There is this genius people that the bank specialist would save the bank by doing 2,500 things at the time. No, there is a specific frames if you study finance. Oh, sweetie, I know studying is hard. I suppose you work too. So I was a student and work several jobs and working as an interpreter in Italy, paying the bills all alone, have to have a certain GPA, otherwise I'm gonna lose the scholarship and I have to pay it all back, and have to study. So I think one thing that I want to mention here, because it's very important to have time off. When I say time off, I don't mean drop everything and run away, but I had this because I was studying and during the weekend I was working. Sometimes I was missing school because I was interpreting in a trade fairs, and after trade fairs, I was so exhausted that I couldn't get up and go to lectures. It was very, very hard. I am supposing that you're studying and you're working. So I have a special tactic that I use in the university while I was studying. You have lectures that is 45 minutes, and then you have a small break. You do take notes during your lecture, correct? It's a lot of notes. Once the professor finished the lecture, in the break, I will have a color pen and I will just make a circle around the most important topics that we address, the keywords. Just repass it one time. That's it. I will take the break, and being at school for 5-6 hours is very exhausting. A lot of people go home and they try to study. No. After the day of all these materials that go to your head, your brain, after several hours, your brain shut off. Your brain have a limited capacity of absorbing information for a short period of time. So the moment that you overload your brain, there is zero memory for you. There is zero ability for you. So once you finish the school, you have to switch the activity. Do not brain activity. Working out is very important, but I'm saying if you have to run some errands like cleaning, shopping, laundry, preparing, doing something after school, give your brain a break. I guarantee you need that. Another thing that I did, because you cannot suddenly start study for the exam. You go to lectures, and suddenly, good morning, you have exam in 2 weeks. And a lot of people drop everything and they try to force their body and their brain to memorize all this information at once, which is again violence for your brain. So you remember I told you to underline the most important topics, right? Normally in the university, you have the book and you have the professor who is giving you some interpretation of the material that university suggests to the professor. So in the end of the week, I had one day that I do this, which was usually Friday. So I would have 4 full days of studying. I would put the lectures there. I was full-time student, and I was also taking Russian and English in the language school, which was giving me an extra credit. Plus I was working. And I had to have a certain exams and GPS in order not to lose the scholarship. Otherwise, I could not pay the cost of this university. So this was like, there is this weight or tension that you have to deliver, So do not wait for the exam to come. Let's say that usually your lectures are scheduled by materials. Let's say you have informatic, you have, I'm supposing, let's say Arabic, English, and then you have a second language. I know you guys study a second language there. And then you have some structure of the whatever. There would be most important exams. Usually you have to take at least 3 in the end of the semester in order to be okay. And you can take 1 in mid-semester. At least my university was like that. But I think they're more or less like, depends on the credit, right? So you will have every day 3 or 4 of those. 2 hours of language English, 2 hours of Arabic, and 2 hours of additional language in the week, right? And in the end of the day, you will have all those notes that if you try to study them the same day, you're gonna go crazy. So you wait the week to end, and then you have a free evening on Thursday, and Friday morning was my Fridays if I was not flying for work, but I would do this on Sundays if I couldn't do it on Fridays. But I would sit down and recopy my notes. I would recopy. Yeah, I have terrible handwriting, But I was very good to take very detailed note. But how I'm gonna recopy that? I'm gonna have the book open and the notes of the professor, because the professor usually talk about the things that will be on the exam. The professor would never test you for information that they did not mention. Is against the rule, is against the logic. So I would see what topics, when I do this work, I would see what topics the professor spend longer time. This is gonna be in the test, I guarantee you, and this strategy give me pretty good result in Italian university, even better than the most people from Italy. I gotta tell you that. So this was my way of getting ready. So when the time come, there is gonna be no lections, and you're gonna have few weeks to study, it's not gonna be that stressful for you. You gonna have it more, your brain will already have absorbed some of that. Like it makes your brain ready to absorb the information, because you already know the most important things, and then you're able to connect them, and you're able to express them with your own thoughts, basically. So this is what I'm gonna address you. If you're tired of school, the moment that you get out of school, don't think about it. Get off of it. I would shut off. School is over. Shut off. Uh, oh, you have one more test, or you finish all of them? But yeah, being graduated is great. It's beautiful, and now you have to face the real life. So you don't need to be so perfect in everything, you know. But said that, I think, guys, this is gonna be my life for today. Congratulations to you, sir. Bravo to you. I hope you get, I don't know where you are, but I hope you get the job you like, the job you want. And don't worry to be multitasking. I think the most successful people I have met are available to admit, I don't know how to trim grass, I will pay somebody. Oh, Egyptian. Wow, this is beautiful. Egyptian. Maybe you're in Cairo or something. That sounds so surreal that I can even talk to you right now. Thank you for being here. Thank you guys for being here. That was regarding my test, how to get the national certification here in the USA. I did answer your questions. I hope this video was useful. Mansoura City. Mansoura. I don't even know that was existing. Mansoura City, guys, exists and is located in Egypt. We most of us know Cairo, and we know the pyramids, of course, but there are many beautiful places out there that are not on social media. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, and I hope this video was useful to you. Thank you, Mohammed, Moheb, for being here. Bye-bye.